Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Do We Know Them? Spooky edition.
Oh, you're getting pure spooky. I am so excited. Do you guys love the intro? Tell us. Tell us you love it.
Hopefully the intro was what Jesse thinks it was, but we might have to wait for like the next episode. It depends. But we have some good stuff in the works. Hopefully you either just saw it or it's coming. Or what you just saw is still gonna be hopefully good.
Well, this is the next episode because this isn't tomorrow's episode.
Oh yeah, it'll definitely be up for that. Hope you enjoyed the intro. I spent a lot of time on it.
We're a little lost, girlies. Sorry.
I'm tired,
we
as
film
usual.
twice before you see the Friday episode. So we're kind of, we forget what's happening in life. But here we are.
Confused. Yeah, we've made it 3. No, I just said it again. 383. We're on 183.
Literally, we were about to start and Lily's like, okay, so episode 383, it's me, right? I'm like, wait a second. Did I literally black out for 2 years?
What's
What
weird
happened?
is like I got more sleep last night than I have in weeks.
Oh, your body probably doesn't know what to do with
It's
it.
like I think I'm still asleep.
I am loving the spooky season. I just can't wait for what's next. There's events left and right, wigs laying around all over my closet and my floor. It's just great.
I wish though we had a way to do, I guess we could find a way, but like to do themed episodes so they like were actually like spooky episodes.
What do you mean, like jump scares?
No, like the topics were like more like,
Oh, well, this one's kind of spooky. We're talking about Michelle the bartender.
well, and I was thinking we could always do like more of a end of the year countdown almost where it's like internet monsters from this year.
Oh my God, period. An innovative queen. We could do that like on the last episode of the month.
Right?
Maybe.
Like something so then
That
we
would be
could like have
fun.
a little time off. Maybe we pre-film it a tad.
Yeah. Okay, period. Love that. Well, today's episode is going to be kind of fun because we actually have 3 potential topics. All of them are kind of mini topics. They're not very long. You could tell us there's an ant on the floor and we'll talk about it for 3 hours, trust me. But I do think that we can get through these quick enough to do all 3. I mean, why not? Let's just party.
I agree. But before we get started, what Halloween shirt are you wearing?
Oh, this is actually a sweater from American Eagle, and it's like a witch, it's a pumpkin, a ghost, and who are you, sir? A skeleton? I can't see him, but I think he's a skeleton.
I can't
and
see
they're
you
all like,
at all. I just see hair.
sorry, yeah. It's burnt orange color, and it is like them walking down a street.
And that's fun.
What's yours?
So I got it like off Etsy because I saw people making it and it was like common on all the like cheap websites, but I was trying to find one that was like a shirt that I actually wanted. So I got it and it kind of feels like someone just like ironed it on. Like
Girl,
it's, like,
they probably
too
did.
Stiff. Literally.
Just being honest.
It was like $30 too.
They have that Cricut press and they just went to town. Oh, it's a bunch of witches.
It's a bunch of witches and it says girls will be girls.
Oh, that's so cute. I love
I
that.
thought it was funny. Just girlies casting spells.
Okay, well, guys, shall we just get into it? Michelle the bartender, let's just go to town.
She's back.
I'm pretty sure there is maybe a witch moment we could pull from this, just because we literally said verbatim, like, oh, she's saying she's never going to talk about her ex-husband. She will. And I mean, I don't know if that's a witch moment or
Yeah, I was
common
gonna say,
sense,
I don't
but-
know if we could really take credit for that kind of prediction because like it was pretty obvious.
So my husband and I are not together anymore. So I guess I could say my ex-husband, or I'm gonna call him Ryder's dad. We're not together. We've been not together for a while, but if you thought I was gonna come on here and tell you why or talk crap about him, you were wrong. I'm not gonna do that.
Girl, you already told us why.
I literally finished watching it. I was like, yet.
Yeah, so if you don't know Michelle the bartender, my God, where did her journey with her start? She's like a deep part of our lore now, almost. Kind
Yeah.
of like Deaf Noodles, but not that deep.
I'm trying to remember because as usual, I had never heard of her before.
Oh, okay. So I think I had known about her from before the kid, but I think the first big story that we talked about was her now ex-husband bringing a random person from a bar to her home.
Yes, and they were like casing the joint and they were gonna like,
And her son was home.
yeah, and then she did the follow-up where she showed the security stuff and like how it works.
Yeah, I really think you guys should watch our Michelle the bartender episodes because honestly, in the grand scheme of things, very lighthearted and just a person Like the whole synopsis of her embodiment, that whole sentence made no sense.
The most like chronic oversharing I've ever seen.
That's it. Yeah, just literally verbal diarrhea in human form. That's Michelle the bartender. And that's really all you need to know about her, except the fact that she is quite popular on TikTok. And she was popular before all of that happened. It's not like she got popular for just this. Yeah, she was popular for being a bartender and for like acting out customers that were weird, or I don't know, just doing bartender related things on the internet. But now people kind of just, I mean, I think her main audience probably sticks around for things like that, but people really just come back around for things like this that we're going to talk about, which is her talking a lot.
That she shares and you're like, you couldn't waterboard that out of me. Like, why are you telling people that? This is so embarrassing. And it's not even stuff that it's like stuff that usually it was things her husband did. And it's to the point now that it's not so funny anymore. I mean, it was always kind of sad too, but like, I remember one of my favorite ones was that she had to buy a lock. First, she bought a separate fridge because she needed, for her bartending videos or bartending something, she needed like specific mixers. And apparently the husband couldn't keep his hands off the mixers in the main fridge and he would always drink them. So she had to buy a separate fridge just for those. That wasn't enough. She had to buy a lock for that fridge because he would
motherfucker would steal the juice.
Yeah, I'm like, he's a child. But now things more recently, the last few times I feel like we've covered her, have to do with her kid and now her ex-husband. And it's just like really, ugh.
Yeah, I think the main thing that we've covered is that her ex-husband was an alcoholic, but also a man-child who did things like that willingly. I don't think that's like he was just dumb. I think he would like not give a shit and just like bother her by like stealing the shit she needed for work, etc. But there was one episode that we covered that had nothing to do with her ex-husband and had to do with exploiting her child, and that was when she was potty training her child. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, and she filmed the whole thing. And she just like was filming so much with him in general, all of a sudden. It was after she'd gotten the divorce.
Yeah, and it's also one thing to film your child and a whole other thing to film them on the fucking potty and being like, you just gotta push, like you just gotta,
and then like have it like the camera like in his face and like he clearly like was uncomfortable to begin with, and then that's just like stop.
And don't worry, she's still showing him. So that's interesting. But now we are revisiting our good friend, Michelle the bartender. I always call her that, actually, I think in every episode. She's not our good friend, okay? We don't know her. But we are revisiting her because a while ago when she announced that she was leaving her ex-husband, she said that one of the things that she was not going to do under any circumstance and that people shouldn't stick around for because it wasn't going to happen was talk about her ex-husband in any sort of disparaging way. Like she didn't want to do that to her son, basically, was her main reasoning, which totally makes sense. And I think that I specifically said in that episode, I think that she should do the work to like, no matter what happened between them, not bring it online with that resentment and shit, because their kid is going to see that one day. And it's just, it's not fair to them. Like you can hate him, but number one, don't talk about that to your son. And number two, definitely don't talk about it to the internet, because those are the two worst things you could do.
Well, and then she would also film where she was getting mad at that. Well, because she's like, we're not even going to court over custody. We've just like agreed to it and it's going to be great.
Oh, right.
And we were like, I don't know if you should do that. Then it started getting weird because she already said she was going to keep it all offline, but then she like had videos where she's like yelling at him over the phone and stuff, but the kids in the car like listening.
Oh, did we cover that? Oh my God, that's true, because he like showed up to the wrong pickup place or something.
She's like bitching about how she sent him a pin and he said he was going to be there soon, but then he was like 45 minutes late.
And then she was like the son and we're like, you're doing all of this in front of your fucking son. Like that's how it started, I think. But from the beginning, when she said she wasn't going to talk about her ex-husband, we were like, bullshit. Like you are someone that needs, for some reason, because you don't get validation from the internet. So it's not even for validation. You just want that attention, I guess. I don't know. Like, well, it makes no sense.
Also, though, it was always weird because even then when she did share something and get validation for it, then she would get mad at the people validating her and be like, no, you don't know him. And it's like, yeah, we know what you're telling us, and you're telling us some not great things.
Yeah, we compared it to like when you tell your best friend or your mom about a shitty guy you're dating and then you want them to like forget about it when you guys make up. It's like, bitch, then stop telling me shit because I hate him already. Like, what do you want me to do? So anyway, let's just get into what happened this time. This comment that's included here is just someone saying, Michelle the bartender is all I needed to hear. It's like you hear that name, you're like, what's she talking about now? She's oversharing, isn't she?
Well, so also background before we watch this video she just posted. Back when they were getting a divorce, or it could have even been when the husband brought home the random dude, people started looking into both of them, her and her ex-husband, and they found that the ex-husband, they believed at least, it seemed like that was the name and everything checked out like detail-wise, that the husband had been charged with with child endangerment. Was that it? Or was it just child abuse?
No, you're right.
I think it was endangerment. It didn't have any of the details because usually if there's a minor involved, it doesn't give you like all of the case files and everything. But people had found that online in like police records because he'd been arrested. And it wasn't from like a long, I mean, not that that would be any better, but it like wasn't from a long time ago. It was like from a recent time. So she never acknowledged it. So this has been something that's been floating around for at least a year. And now she has decided it's time to bring it up after everyone's probably forgotten about it.
Yes, but before she brings it up, she actually brings up another quarrel that she has, which is that her son is calling her exes, and get this, he is remarried already. They divorced like 6 months ago. Who has the time, the will, like,
who are
the
these
gumption?
people that are just getting married? Oh my God. Okay.
Well, what's actually really wild, I mean, I got married pretty quick, but like they got married after 2 months. And you would think after you do it once, well, actually, Michelle's done it 4 times, I think. I think he's her 4th.
I know, I think this was the 3rd time.
Oh, 3rd. Okay, my bad. But like once you do it so many times, you're just like, okay, maybe not. Like maybe actually a different game plan.
It feels like a lot of paperwork.
I don't know what the reasoning is at that point. Because like you had a kid, you already did the whole thing. I don't get it. But they were each other's 3rd marriage. So he's done this a million times. Anyway, he's already remarried. And the whole point of this video is that her son, Ryder, who I think is like 2 years old, is calling his new wife mommy. And of course she has to talk to us about it.
I just met up with my ex-husband to exchange our son. And I found out that my toddler has been calling my ex-husband's new wife mama. So when he said it in the car, I was like, huh? So I marched my butt back over to the car where he was. And I said, has Ryder been calling her mama? And he said, yeah. Why? He said, because she is his mom when you're not there. I said, she is not his mom. He said, she is when you're not there. I just want to know how you guys feel about this. I know that there's other people going through this. Am I just in my emotions of being upset?
Text your friends, girly.
About this?
Literally, she doesn't have any.
I birthed him. Personally, I feel like I'm the only one that gets that privilege. I can't imagine calling somebody else mom when I was growing up. My parents did not stay together. I would just like to know your guys' thoughts about it.
This is the shit she does. I'm like, why, Michelle? Why do you want us to tell you what we think about it?
I feel like you are in the right. Like, I do feel like that's super weird. You're still making me like, girl, stop.
Well, I think on the note of like, girl, if you really want to know what I think, I have a stepdad whom I don't really call dad ever. I don't know if I have ever called him dad. I'm used to calling him Joe, and that's what I call him, and it's fine. Now, at the same time, he calls me his daughter. He introduces me to people as his daughter, and that's fine with me. I've never felt weird about that. He's been in my life since I was 4 years old.
Oh, since you were 4? I was gonna say, but also at 2, I feel like it's not as easy. It's like, hi, call me Bob.
It really depends on so many things. And like what makes me kind of, it's not funny, but what makes me chuckle about this, I'm like, girl, he is a toddler. He is not a teenager.
It's not like he's actively making the choice to like disrespect you.
Well, the thing is, I think she understands that it's not her son's fault. Like, I don't think she thinks that it's his choice. And I do want to say, I do think her husband or ex-husband's response to that was disrespectful as fuck. Like, I think that saying like, she's his mom when you're not there. No, she's not. That response, I think, just gave to me, he told his son to call her mom. That's how I felt about it. Maybe I'm wrong.
It wasn't like he just assumed that she's the new mom because he's with her all the time or something. Yeah.
And honestly, I do understand how that can hurt. Do I understand why she's coming on the internet about it? Of course I don't. But at the same time, my daughter literally calls my sister-in-law mommy because that's what her daughter calls her. And I'm just like, okay.
She just like doesn't get it.
She knows that's not her mom.
She doesn't assign any like meaning to the word. It's just her saying the word because it's what she thinks she's supposed to say.
Yes. Now, do I think if a stranger came up to her and was like, I'm your mommy, I think she would literally say, you're not my mommy. Like, I think she would know that that's not the, she knows I'm her mom, obviously. And I know that.
But she almost thinks it's like your name's her mom.
Literally, yeah. And I've tried to tell her my name before. I'm like, hi, I'm Jessie. She's like, you're not Jessie, you're mommy. Like,
I don't remember when I like, obviously I don't remember when I learned what my mom's name was, but I feel like I saw something recently about that, and it's so funny because the kids are like No. What?
That
You
is
have-
not
don't
who
have a
you are, you
name.
freak. Yeah. Oh my God. Wait till Emily finds out her dad's name is Nassim. She's going to flip out. I think it's very innocent on his end. And I think that it's times like this where you do really have to like search within and be like, that is not a battle worth fighting. If he's happy, he's calling her mom. Like, I understand how that could hurt, obviously. But also, if she's being good to your son, then she's being good to your son. And you just have to pick your battles, especially with someone that's as big of a man-child as her ex-husband. It's like, let's do what the fuck we gotta do. And like, he knows who his mom is, period. He's calling her mom because he's 2 years old. And also, if he wants to call her mom when he's older, because she's been around since he was so young, then that's okay too. It's a personal journey with the kids and they'll figure it out eventually. And just, it's not something that's worth a huge fight. And it's definitely not worth bringing on the internet.
Yeah, well, and then it also, I feel like when you consider the next thing we're about to talk about, if that lady that he's married to now is like taking good care of him and she's there and she's like being a good motherly figure, regardless of what he calls her, you should probably be super fucking thankful that that's happening because it seems like her husband might not be able to do that all on his own.
I screenshotted this off of my Snark page today, but it was posted last December. Do you see this? That's my ex-husband. Do you see this?
Oh, it was a
Oh yeah, it said misdemeanor child. So that made it even sketchier because people were like, what the fuck did he do?
And
like,
again, I mean, I know that this was posted and I know it's public knowledge, but girl, just redact like the location of the core and you know what I mean? Like on her end, like I know this is public.
well, I mean, she said she pulled it off her Reddit. So I don't
know,
think
but
she...
there's a big difference between a couple thousand people on Reddit and posting it to hundreds of thousands of people on TikTok. I just think it's weird, but I mean.
I think it's weird she posts any of the shit she does.
True.
I'm ready to talk about it. Somebody had done a background check on my ex-husband right after I kicked him out of my house. And so this started coming out and getting posted everywhere. And I was trying to put these fires out because I wasn't ready. My life was falling apart when this came and got posted up on the internet. Back in September of 2022, I had picked up
The caption instead of Tupac, it is that
Says
the bar is?
Tupac.
Yeah, it said Tupac.
I picked up a shift at Tupac. And these are her captions. Like she
Well,
put
they're
them on the screen.
auto-generated, I'm sure, but I feel like I see that all the time. I'm like, did you not? You didn't watch it back then?
You can edit those, you know, but yeah. Okay.
a shift at Tupac this specific day. I get home from work, and when I get home, there's no car in the driveway. So I'm like, oh, I guess my husband's not home. I walk in the house. My son is laying on the living room floor on his face crying, and my husband's not there. I called him over and over, 16 times exactly. He didn't pick up. So I called my mom, and I'm like, Mom, what do I do? This is what happened. She's like, Michelle, you have to call the police.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Let me just see. So by the time I got home, until the time he got home, it had been 45 minutes. So when he got home, I was like, he was hammered.
Oh my God.
I was like, where were you? He was like, I went to the gas station. I was like, for 45 minutes, I could see the gas station from my house, from my porch at the time. He had gone to a different gas station and got to talking to somebody in the parking lot.
He didn't go
I don't
to a gas
know.
station.
Of course
But
not.
either way, I called the police, and he didn't think anything was wrong with what he did until the police I was like, is it not illegal to leave an 8-month-old baby at home alone? And they looked at each other, and then they looked back at me, and they were like, oh yes, highly illegal. And then when he heard that, he went into the house, went out the back door, and hid in the bushes in the backyard.
Sorry, it's not funny, but oh my God, what? I picture it like to the level of like he was hiding under the bed, but his feet were out, like hanging out.
He said, wait a second. Highly illegal, you say? Fucking ran to the bushes.
So it's really not funny. I'm not laughing at the situation. Just the idea of him trying to hide as a grown man who is there with the police and thinks he's about to get away.
Oh my God. Okay. So many thoughts, but that is kind of like a light at the end of the tunnel. Like he's so fucking
like,
comically
he
stupid.
literally like went behind like the curtain and like his feet were showing.
Oh my God, I'm dead. Okay, a few thoughts about this. I don't care how much you love a man and how much you want to protect him. My body would have been filled with so much rage if my 8-month-old, she said, on the floor could have been dead you left, you would be dead to me.
How long was he gone before she got there?
Exactly.
45 minutes until he got back. But like, was he gone another 45 minutes before that? He was going to leave the kid for an hour and a half.
When she got there, he was face down crying. So he had been gone for hours, I would assume.
Something I could have seen her doing is like assuming that something happened to him. That like
she knew. What gets crazier is, and that's where we have to let her continue, is that she stays with him after that. And
that blew my mind because she starts to say like, that was it. That was the last straw. And I'm like, oh, so that's when she divorced him. No, it's not.
It's not. And that to me says a lot about her.
Well, and also when you take into account that this must have happened after the whole bringing the random home where the kid was also in the house and he brought this random stranger home that was robbing them, was planning on robbing them. I thought that was going to be the last straw.
Yeah.
Like,
you would think. But also it's like, I understand maybe being in love with an alcoholic is a very, very difficult thing to deal with, but you have a child now. There is a certain level where you have to say, I can tolerate shit, I won't for my child. Like, you have to do that. And if not, you're just as shitty of a parent, because it doesn't matter what they're struggling with. You don't put a kid in danger like that.
And I think she was in denial because even when we heard her talk about his like drinking problem at first, she never would say it's a drinking problem. She like would have creative ways to talk about it.
That's so true. She said that he drinks a lot and doesn't stop.
My husband doesn't drink because when he does, and it's like, well, so then he does drink.
Yeah.
When he does, he drinks like every beer in the room. And it's like, so he does drink and it's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, before we go any further, we have a word from our sponsor, Lumi.
As you guys know, Lumi is our favorite whole body deodorant that you can put literally everywhere on your body, and it comes in so many forms that are helpful. My favorite are the wipes, and I've said that a million times, but I've repurchased them so many times now because the convenience of having a wipe that doesn't mask your smell, it actually makes you feel clean underneath and gets rid of your stink. I mean, it's honestly game-changing. And it was created by an OBGYN, which makes me feel, I have to admit, a lot safer putting it down under.
And also it comes in a bunch of different scents. There's clean tangerine, lavender sage, or toasted coconut.
And a great way to start with Lumi is by trying out their starter pack, which comes with a bunch of different options like a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, and you get free shipping with that.
And as a special offer for our listeners, new customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code, Do We Know? And if you combine the 15% off with the already discounted starter pack, that equals over 40% off the starter pack.
Again, that's code Do We Know for 15% off your first purchase at lumideodorant.com. That's LUMEDEODORANT.com. And thank you so much to Lumi for being an amazing sponsor of this podcast
and keeping us from smelling. And even her kind of like seeming to like accept like, oh, well, he went to a different gas station. He didn't go to a gas station.
Of course not. Why would you believe a word that came out of his fucking mouth at that point?
Like, it's weird that even her telling this story now, that's how she frames it.
And even she just like breezes past the bushes comment, and it's all so fucking bizarre.
Ryder and went and stayed with a friend. I was done. I was not going to go back to him. I was going to kick him out. But he, promised me that he was done drinking. He did quit drinking for a couple of months.
So it always happens.
But obviously that didn't last. I didn't want a broken home. I wanted Ryder to grow up with both his mom and his dad together.
Do you want Ryder to grow up? Because being in the care, if it wasn't just you, being in the care of him, he may not get the chance to do that. Like, this is not a fucking game. I hate when people do this. I come from a house of divorced parents that literally, if I could thank my parents every day for divorcing, I would. Like, thank you God you didn't stay together. You guys were both, literally, what were you even doing together? There are some people not meant to be together, and it's better for the kids if you fucking leave. Like, just go. I don't know if she really genuinely finds that as an excuse, but your baby could have died.
And also, not that it matters really, but I'm just thinking that, like, I know some people stay together. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I was like worried that my parents would get divorced because I'm like, financially, even as like a child, I was thinking this, like, financially, how is that going to happen? Like, we can barely afford the house we live in now. How are we going to afford 2? But she makes good money, I think.
She made more than him.
Exactly. So I don't think that would have been like something that's like they felt obligated to stay together for other reasons. It was like
she wanted that. That was her vision of her life. And that's the decision she made to make that happen. Your son is too young at that point to even know what the fuck is going on. He wouldn't have even remembered. I mean, my parents divorced when I was 1.5 years. So that's like way older than Ryder was at that time. And I don't remember shit. Just the way she's explaining it, it's just so classic Michelle the bartender. How are you not understanding how absolutely fucked this is?
It's like she's missing a lot of in between the lines context, always.
As usual, yeah.
But obviously that didn't last. I didn't want a broken home. I wanted Ryder to grow up with both his mom and his dad together. I paid $2,500 for a lawyer. The lawyer knew me from TikTok.
That's not the
Isn't that
crazy part of
crazy?
the story.
Oh my gosh, that was so embarrassing. Yeah, I had CPS up my ass for a little while. That sucked. When people show you who they are,
We know.
you don't need to tell us
yourself
that,
in a
ma'am.
fucking mirror. I
Yeah.
don't know what you want me to do with that information.
Oh my God. And also, like, why are you saying how much you spent on a lawyer? And also, he knew me from TikTok. Irrelevant. Why? Like,
Everything she says is irrelevant. But this really pissed me off just because it's like, my God, can you not choose what families you're born into? But like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is the opposite of prioritizing your child before everything else. And I mean, that was evident in the way that she shows him online to a bunch of people that don't like her. You know what I mean? Especially, like, it's one thing if you're like loved and you think everyone's gonna like be so kind to your family and whatever. I still think that's wrong. And I still think you're exploiting your child. But you know, the internet hates you, Michelle the bartender. Like, you know, you have a snark
she
Reddit.
almost was using it as like a redemptive arc.
Her having a baby?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And her responses are super weird. There was a comment that said that should have been felony child neglect, which I agree. And why does your husband get any kind of visitation rights after this? And she says, see my next video, with like an emoji with a bunch of hearts around it and a smile. Like, everything she answers bothers me. I'm sorry, but like, see my next video.
That's why I have to
Stop.
wonder if like she does this when it's like maybe she isn't making regular good money anymore, and like she does it when she like needs some extra bucks. Like,
Honestly, everything that I've seen from her, I don't think so. And I mean, I'm not saying that she doesn't like to get more money from social media. I just think she genuinely has something in her that can't help but be like this and just overshare, and also lack a lot of good decision-making skills. Like, it just, I don't know.
she doesn't have very good discernment.
No.
I just think it's wild because she does seem to kind of come and do it in like spurts. Like, you won't hear from her for a while, and then it's like 5 things at once.
Yeah, that's true. So she is capable of hiding things. I mean, she hid this.
Exactly. That's why I'm
but-
wondering. It's like, it seems like she bites her tongue for a while and she like lays low, and then it's like either she needs money, so she like needs some quick views and she knows that's a way to get it, or she, I don't know.
Yeah, it is weird. Someone said, why is he allowed to have him for visitation? Which, again, I mean, I think that's super valid to ask. I think that that's something that you would have had to fight for the rest of your life. And it's not that I don't want my child to be with his dad. It's that I don't trust you to keep my child alive and healthy. So that's a big no. Like, it's not me being petty or like, oh, I'm just jealous of your new wife.
No, and it's like
Literally.
they have to earn back your trust and the right to be able to do that because they have completely shattered it.
Exactly. And even the fact that he can be sober for a few months and then he can't anymore, that's a huge red flag. That's something that a court would consider. Supervised visits, yes. And that's fine. And he can see his dad, but alone with him, I would have a big issue with that. But she replies to this comment and says, I could have fought for full custody, but I don't want to do that. I want Ryder to have a good relationship with his dad. He is a good dad as long as he's sober.
But what if he's not?
And he's proven that he doesn't for a long time and then will for a long time. And it's just a fucking disaster.
Well,
Like,
not
it's
even a
back-
long time, though. She said like a few months. So it's like he hasn't even seemed to, I don't know their life. Maybe he has stayed sober for a couple of years before, but it just seems like it's a little more unpredictable than that. And also, it's not like the kid's 12 and then leaving the kid alone, it's not going to be the end of the world. This kid needs to be supervised at all times. It's basically a baby.
Yeah. I also think something worth noting, although alcoholism is a personal journey for everyone and it looks different in everyone and not everybody goes to rehab. But I do think that if you have significant relapses over and over again and you don't go to rehab, as he has not, as we know, she's about to tell us. But like, I think that if that's the case, that is concerning.
He said he was going to stop drinking over 30 times. And, you know, he would be good for a month, sometimes 2 weeks. It just depended. And then he would fall back into, oh, I can have a beer. I can have 2 beers.
He's an alcoholic.
No, you can't. And then some dumb stuff would happen. And then he'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, well, it'll never happen again. And then I wanted to believe him. After so many times of believing that, I didn't believe him this time.
Because cold turkey doesn't work for everyone. Maybe it does for him for a few months, maybe a year, and then maybe he randomly
then
goes
that
to the
means
gas
it
station
didn't
and it's
work.
over. And then
Yeah.
his son's in danger. And I just personally don't understand not wanting like a court enforced rehab or something, or a program that he's going to AA and he's like being held accountable in some way. Because obviously him and like alcoholism and child endangerment just go all hand in hand. It's not like oh, you're an alcoholic, so you're dangerous. No, he's proven that.
No, well, and that's the thing is also, I'm sure there's plenty of alcoholics out there that are still watching their kids. They're just drunk when they're doing so. He wasn't. he literally like left to go get drunk.
Yeah.
And thought it was appropriate. Like he wasn't drunk when he left, probably.
No. And then he got home and like found out that his son was on the floor screaming and was just, it took a cop telling him to run to the bushes. Like, you've got me fucked up.
Right?
You don't
Like,
understand.
I'm sure there's plenty of situations where that could happen and the person's blacked out and they get home, they find out they did something like that and they are crying because they're like, I can't believe I let myself do that. Not him. Nope.
No.
He was fine. What's the big deal?
And I think that when he's sober, from everything she's described, he does have more sense of like, oh shit, what the fuck? But when he is drunk, he doesn't have that. And so that is the concern. It's like, if you can drink to the point that you don't give a shit about your kids, you're a danger to my child, period. I don't care who the fuck you are.
How much did he have to drink to get to that point? Because again, I'm like, how much alcohol is in the house? First of all, if you're an alcoholic, there shouldn't be any. So were you drinking before you left? Because otherwise you left sober and thought that was okay. It's like the two don't overlap. Dad and alcoholic don't overlap for him. It's just like, nope, I'm not a dad anymore because I have to go drink.
That is so true. Yeah, that's the really concerning part. That's the part I can't let go of. But she responds to everyone's concerns. So let's see this part. Sure, it's going to be great.
I haven't seen this one.
I knew the comments from that video would be a lot. I wasn't trying to ruin my ex-husband's life. He has been sober since the day that I kicked him out, because we've had a lot of conversations. Obviously, you guys don't know everything about my life because you didn't know about that.
We did.
Is that like, yeah.
Yes, we did.
It's like, no, we didn't know that exact situation. But now we do. Thanks.
Yeah, we knew that had happened. There was a scenario with your child and him where he endangered him. We just didn't know the specifics. And now you've told us the specifics. But like, she really wants to hold on to like, you guys don't know everything. Girl, we do. Stop it right now.
It's like, you tell us a lot. So
when he came to pick up Ryder for visitation, he said, I know that if I keep drinking, that I will end up in rehab, prison,
you should be
dead.
in rehab anyway.
And I said,
True.
yes, you're absolutely right. And he said, and none of those things would let me be able to spend time with my son. And that matters the most to me. That's what he said. My ex-husband is a great dad when he is sober. So I said, as long as you are sober, you can see him whenever you want. It really sucks that it took the wake-up call of me kicking him out and literally leaving him.
It took you kicking him out. It didn't take the police arresting him and him leaving his kid alone, because she didn't kick him out from that.
I think that that's my biggest concerning thing, is like, it just seems like they both valued each other over their child. Like, when you really look at it, it's like she wanted the family and he wanted her. And he was like, oh shit, she's kicked me. Well, okay, now I'll be sober. Like, no.
Like, literally, I don't know how she doesn't even realize that. She's like, I wish he would have had this wake-up call earlier. How could you getting charged with child abuse not be your wake-up call?
I mean, there is nothing that I can think of that's more of a nightmare than that. That's my biggest concern, is that he doesn't know right from wrong. And her being like, he's a great dad as long as he's sober. How do you know that in one of those times where he can just pick him up wherever you want, how do you know that in one of those times is not going to be when he relapses? Because he hasn't done the work. He just poured into another relationship, got another wife.
Well, and then also the mention of rehab as if it's like a bad thing is like concerning. He's like, if I drink again or if I keep drinking, I'm gonna end up in rehab, prison, or dead.
You should
like
have
as if
gone
those
to
three are
rehab
equivalent. And it's like, go to rehab so you don't end up with the other two. Are you kidding?
It seems like he's trying to get sober without doing the work. And from everything I understand about alcoholism, it's a lot of internal work. And AA is not for everyone.
It's not rooted in, I just like
everyone.
the taste in alcohol.
It comes down to like her even belittling it. Oh, he doesn't really drink. It's just when he does. Like, all of that shit is like very minimizing of the severity of the situation, which is he is an alcoholic. And unfortunately, it's an addiction that takes work to understand. You're never going to get rid of it. You're always going to be an addict. You can't just, I mean, again, I don't want to say never, because I'm sure there's some people who have quit cold turkey and just done it and it's been fine.
Sure. But I think it's probably safe to say, and exceptions to everything, of course, but like those people might not be drinking for the exact same reasons that other people are drinking. So I think sometimes it's rooted in like their own childhood trauma and stuff that they have never processed from when they were little. Or it could be maybe something just recently happened and you're trying to drink to forget it. It's not like a lifelong issue that you've been struggling. It also depends how long you've been struggling.
Yeah.
And it seems like he's just like, no, I'm just not going to do it anymore. And again, you're not drinking because you like the taste of alcohol. Like, that's not why people are alcoholics. You're doing it because you're trying to numb something or distract yourself or like avoid dealing with stuff. And if you don't ever do that, that's why you keep relapsing.
Yeah. And his symptoms of alcoholism are some of the most concerning I have seen. I know that people do all sorts of things, you know, when they get blackout drunk or just drink too much, but the child neglect aspect of it makes it way more serious. It's not like I trust that you're sober. It's that if you are not sober around my child, something could happen.
Alcohol above everything.
Yeah. It's scary to me how nonchalant she is about it. She's just like, okay, like, as long as he's sober, we're good, and he's sober, so it's fine. And no, you need to like make
and then
sure.
Meanwhile,
like, what the fuck?
Circling back, she's like mad about the kid calling the new wife mama. I'm like, well, if she's there, at least you can be thankful for that, because like,
I know, yeah.
And literally leaving him for him to get sober, but I'm glad that he has. I would say that I wish he would have had this wake-up call earlier and gotten sober while he was still with me, but I'm so happy in my life now that I can't say that. I don't wish that. And as for the new wife, you guys, I like her. She is good to Ryder, and Ryder loves her. I want Ryder to know his dad, and I want him to have as much of a relationship as he wants to with his dad. So as long as he stays sober, he can see him whenever he wants.
But it only takes one time of him not staying sober that something could happen, and then you're going to be kicking yourself for the rest of your life because you just were like, it's fine.
It's a very difficult situation, and I understand that it's nuanced, and they probably have had discussions that from some miracle she hasn't shared with us. But I just think that, like, in general, as a parent and someone that loves my husband, like, if this happened with my husband and I found out he was doing some shit, it would ruin me, and it would be such an internal conflict of like, wait, what? You endangered our children? Like, you're a great dad. What do you mean? Like, it just would be such a mindfuck. But there is a non-negotiable situation with my children where it's like, you put them in danger, you never see them again until I say you see them again, because they're going to be safe. If there's one thing I was put on this earth to do, is to make sure my kids are safe. So don't fuck around with that shit. And I just think she's just very passive, and it's dangerous. She's naive, and she's also just like, I don't know, just like
in denial.
Yeah, in denial a little bit, I think, or a lot of it. But that is our super unfortunate revisiting to our friend Michelle the bartender, because
one thing I will say is luckily it's not a new story, and that hopefully everything has been good. And
yeah, this
Ryder
happened a while
taken care
ago.
of.
Yeah. And from everything she says, he's been good for a while now. Do I have a lot of faith that we're not going to hear back in a year? No. But, you know, I guess we'll see. In all seriousness, I just wish that little boy well, and I hope she stops sharing him on the internet. Anyway, okay, so for our next topic, do you want to go with Out of Touch Lady asks for a refund post-hurricane or Sepia divorce?
Is there much to the Sepia divorce besides that they got divorced?
Well, I mean, they got divorced, but she talks about it and answers questions and talks back to people in the comments and shit like that, so.
I feel like I'm more interested in the hurricane lady.
Oh, okay.
Her username, ironically, is Stay Salty 2290.
Hurricane Helene, if you don't know, has completely wiped out parts of North Carolina in the most devastating. And I mean, also like Florida got hit really hard. I know Chelsea got hit hard. Her house was flooded. Yeah. So there's people suffering, but there is people in North Carolina. And it literally, when I think about it, it makes me want to lose my mind. But like a mom like saw her child be swept away in the flash flood.
I saw a video the other day, and it was like a bunch of old people and their pets in the house still, that someone was like going in to rescue them. That's who was filming. And like the water was like up to here, and they had their pets like on top of things like floating, and they were just like standing in this house, like in water that was over 4 or 5 feet high.
Well, I think that the flooding was one issue, but the flash floods is what killed a lot of people, because it came in so quickly. And that's, I think, why these
people, they didn't just like wait until it got that high. It was like that it all came in at once.
No, they didn't know it was hitting them, nor did I know it was hitting them. I remember because Alex lives in North Carolina, and he's like my weatherman. He always texts me. He's like, is it raining over there? I'm like, girl, stop watching me. But like, he will tell me all the time about the weather, and he hadn't heard that Hurricane Helene was coming to North Carolina because it wasn't. And last second, it like turned, and that's why like we got a lot less of it. And it just went to the right instead of the left.
You had been panicking, and I remember you were like, oh no, at the very last second it veered off.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
That's the direction it went.
All of the forecasts that I was watching said it was going to go left, and it didn't. It went to the right, and it hit North Carolina, and they were unprepared for it.
There's also a couple that they do like back hypermobility stuff. They posted that they're fine and they got out and like their dog's okay too, but they were showing footage, and even the guy at the end of the video says, by the way, the footage playing behind us is the least insane that I've seen. Like, this is nothing. And the footage playing behind them was literally like the entire, it looked like there was nothing left.
There
is
just nothing left.
Water and like wreckage everywhere.
And the like looting, and people are trying to like protect their homes, and neighborhoods are
They
getting
said there's
together
no
to
cell
cook a
phone
single
service,
meal.
no water, no.
It's awful. It's awful. Like imagine the entire structure that builds your life around you. And I've been thinking about that a lot. I'm like driving on the roads. I'm like, these roads are gone. We're all done. Like there's like so many little elements that go into life that if one thing is gone, you're literally devastated. And it's so crazy.
One of the things that I heard from this couple is that at first, like, there was no way for them to leave because the roads were already flooded and stuff.
People are
There was just, like,
hiking to fire stations because they're snapped in half.
So they
the
had
roads.
said, like, luckily at the last minute, like when they still had a chance to leave, there was a road that like opened up. But like, what do you mean there's no roads? Like, what do you do?
No
And then
roads,
there's
no
no cell phone
food.
service. Like, how are you getting any help? Like, and they said that the National Guard, no one, like, they hadn't seen anyone like from the government showing up for assistance.
And so imagine you see that level of devastation and then you see this bitch on your For You page, because the juxtaposition of people struggling to find food and just water and trying to live, and then this is just pretty severe.
We booked a mountain vacation not knowing that a hurricane was going to come and destroy the little town that we're supposed to be going to, and we cannot be refunded.
Stop it.
We are still expected to go on this trip, not knowing if there's damage to the property, not knowing if the place is even accessible, not knowing if
You might
I don't
just
know if
be
you're still
stupid.
expected to go. They're just probably a little busy, you know, cleaning up the wreckage for what the property was.
knowing if surrounding events and attractions are going to be up and running. But let me tell you, if you've been following like I have, and I live in North Carolina, just the eastern part of it, then you know as well as I do, nothing's going to be open and running. I mean, even if it is, it's still not going to be the same. You pay X amount of dollars to go on a vacation with friends or with family. You expect to have a vacation, not try to figure out your way around barricades, not worrying about what's going to be open, what's not going to be open. I mean, hell, most of the time we're just going to worry about what's in our price range. And now we have a whole nother slew on our plate. I have spent the last hour this morning on the phone trying to figure out with Evolve, because we booked through Airbnb, property management, Evolve. You know me, I don't like going through rental companies, and this is a prime example of why. Because they're telling me that they have to first get in touch with the owner before they can make any executive decisions. Oh, I'm sorry, isn't that what the owner pays you for? To make executive decisions, especially if a natural disaster out of anybody's hands happens? Not to make matters worse, how do we know that the owner doesn't live in the area and isn't stranded themselves? How do we know that the owner doesn't live out of state and doesn't even know what the fuck's going on?
Are you really concerned, ma'am? Because it sounds like you're much more concerned about your vacation being ruined.
Have you ever been, and I know your answer is yes, because it's like when you were like really sick, right? And we were getting like text messages for work and like people being like, hey, this call and that call and the other thing. Doesn't it feel so like perspective shifting where it's just like, you can actually go suck a big fat one. Like that's how I feel in my head, where I'm just like, do you know what I'm going through right now is what I imagine the owner's feeling, where it's just like, bitch, email me all you want. My house is floating down the fucking road.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want from me, bitch? Like, I'm not going to answer your email when our entire town is trying to figure out what they're going to eat tonight. Like, what?
Much less can they answer the email probably at
They
this
don't even
point.
have
It's just
service.
like, maybe like give them a week or two.
And what she's mad about, if you don't understand, is she is mad that the company that is like managing this property is not making a decision without the owner of the house to refund her, which I don't know how much you spent on this vacation. Actually, I do. She says it in a second. But are you in such a financial predicament, which first of all, then why did you book this vacation? Like if that was money you needed, like right this fucking second, but okay. You are in such a financial predicament that you need that money right now. Like you're probably going to get refunded eventually. Like what are you doing?
That's the thing. It's
Why
like-
is it so urgent?
I will say, do I think that the rental company should acknowledge that this is kind of a extreme circumstance and that they are probably definitely not going to be able to have these people there because the property is probably no longer even there? Yes, I think they should just cancel it. That's kind of bullshit. But the fact that she's complaining about it and stuff to TikTok, it's like, come on.
I would have maybe reached out to the management company, but if they said, hey, we need to get a hold of the owner and we haven't, then I'd just be like,
totally get
okay,
it.
like we're not going to go on the trip and I'll just wait to hear back from you guys on the refund. Like that's it. That's
Yeah.
the farthest it should have gone.
That the owner doesn't live out of state and doesn't even know what the fuck's going on. How do we know that we're even going to hear from the owner? So I have 5 days to cancel this reservation and only get a partial refund. A partial refund after a $2,500 trip for a week with my family of 6. do not misunderstand me. I understand completely cancellation policies, house rules. I do this for a living. But when a natural disaster out of everybody's hands hits, I expect some sort of accommodation, some sort of communication, some sort of understanding. Not get in your car.
I'm missing where they told you to get in your car and come anyway. Like, I don't feel like that was the conversation you had. But also, like, she looks so frazzled. It's like she hasn't slept in 3 days because of this.
She's really upset. It's so interesting that she's preaching about things that she clearly does not practice herself. Understanding? You're joking. Yeah. Like, you're actually joking. Because this would be a completely different story if this was 3 months down the line and they never refunded her.
She seems to really be harping on, like, the existing cancellation policy where it's like, you have 5 more days to cancel.
That doesn't
and
apply
then
to you, bitch. Like, you know that.
It's like, no, but this is extenuating circumstances that I'm sure they will accommodate for, but just like maybe give them a minute to adjust.
Drive 5 hours from Eastern North Carolina to go to your vacation rental. Mind you, my parents are coming from Western Tennessee to Eastern Tennessee. Well, if you don't know, you do now. The roads of I-40 are washed out at the state line. What's frustrating is that all they can tell me is, we understand your concern. Do you? And what I do not like about this particular realty company, Evolve, is not hands-on. They are remote. There is no office in Hendersonville. So you talk to robots, you talk to recordings, you're texting customer service. Nobody knows what the fuck's going on. And this is just infuriating to me. But with all of that being said, I think as a short-term rental host myself and an Airbnb host and doing this for a living, when a natural disaster hits in any part of the country, cancel all reservations and refund your people.
Well, first of all, the caption on screen she has is, they won't let us cancel our mountain vacation. They didn't say you couldn't cancel. You could cancel, get the partial refund, and then give them a beat to figure out their shit, because even you just said they're remote, so they don't exactly know what's going on. They probably can't get in touch with the person because there's probably no service. No one's telling you to go on this vacation anyway, so I don't care where your parents are coming from, because guess what, girl? You're not going. The person probably isn't able to cancel all rentals for the foreseeable future because they're busy, you know, making sure their house isn't totally canceled.
The only person staying salty is her. She is so pissed.
Accurate name.
Because 9 out of 10 times, your people aren't going to want to come to where a natural disaster hit unless they're documenting the natural disaster. Thoughts, comments, what should I...
Turns off her comments.
Not the, like, unless they're documenting it, why are you even acknowledging the exception for, like, journalists? I don't think they're staying in the Airbnbs
nobody wants
either.
to go to your town. It's washed away. Where's my refund?
Oh my God.
It just seems so out of touch. And what's crazy is this is like dead ass still on her page right now. Like, this is still present. Not all the hashtags. Jesus.
Oh my God.
Hashtag, are you kidding me? Hashtag, wish I was joking. Hashtag, oh boy. Hashtag, thrid party. Not third party. Thrid party. Oh God.
Wait, also there's hashtag do better, hashtag WTF, hashtag vibes. Doesn't seem like very good vibes, but...
And it didn't even help her go viral. This only has 16,000 likes.
Hashtag washed out, hashtag devastated, hashtag damage. You bitch.
Wait, what? Hashtag washed? That's crazy.
Hashtag natural disaster, hashtag hurricane. Girl, you do not need to be coming up with the hurricane results. Sit down. Get your partial refund.
So true. I didn't even think of it like
wait
that.
a second. Go away and let them figure it out.
And what's crazy is she is an Airbnb host. So she has like whole series on her channel where she talks about like what her guests left her. So it'll be like, this is what they left me, a stick of butter and like whatever. The point is, she is an Airbnb host. Imagine that house is washed away into nothing but a pile of fucking toothpicks, and you are so devastated at the thought of it, and your whole town is a fucking mess, and you have Barbara from Florida being like, is my rental gonna be fine for my visit because I paid $2,500? Bitch, I don't give a fuck. I don't care what
literally
you did.
Like, the rental's not there anymore. Salty or stay salty. Go away.
You rented nothing, Barbara.
Yeah,
it's
no, but
no
truly,
longer
like,
standing.
I don't know how she doesn't hear how she sounds, where it's like, for natural disasters, like, I understand, but she basically saying, but they should be prioritizing their business over, you know, maybe, I don't know, like their lives or their livelihood.
And again, this is $2,500, and I'm not saying that's not a lot of money. It obviously is a lot of money.
Well, if it was about the money, though, she could cancel and get the partial refund.
Well, and again, even if it's like she wants the full refund, okay, fine. Then wait till they talk to the owners, or like just fucking wait, period. This has been less than a week. Like, what are you doing?
I feel like she's also like holding out on the chance that she is going to be able to go or something. Like,
Girl, it's not happening. She's like, my parents are flying.
yeah,
Girl,
exactly. I'm like, stop talking about this
in
in the active tense. Like, you're still going. Like, you're not. And you already are saying you want to cancel, but then you're talking about like the hypotheticals if you go.
It's so weird. But anyway, this is her follow-up.
Well, it's been brought to my attention that my last post about canceling our mountain vacation has struck a few nerves, okay? Because I strictly made a post about booking the vacation, canceling the vacation, and wanting to be refunded for the vacation because the natural disaster struck. Am I aware that people have lost their lives? Absolutely. Am I aware that roads are washed away, there's no gas, there's barely food, there's a lot of devastation, and that people are still looking for friends and family members? Absolutely.
devastation
does that
into
break
their
my
hashtags?
heart? It sure does. I live in a coastal town. We deal with hurricanes yearly. My post was basically stating that the remote realty company handling
Not the realty.
Airbnb for whoever the owner is needs to be able to make these executive decisions and cancel all reservations in surrounding devastated areas. I am not an insensitive person. I'm actually a very caring person,
Oh.
and that's why I found a displaced family and I'm letting them stay in one of my Airbnbs for an entire
you're
week.
so nice.
Thanks for
nothing.
telling us.
Also, for anybody dealing with a similar situation that has booked a property through Airbnb or VRBO, they have policies in place right now to fully refund everybody involved, even if the host does not agree. Okay? So keep that in mind.
So wait, so you did get a refund within a week?
Wait, she did?
I mean, now she said
missed
she
that.
booked it through Airbnb, so she said regardless of what the host says that they're going to
No,
refund.
she didn't. No, she didn't book it through Airbnb. She works for Airbnb.
No, she said she booked it through Airbnb, but Airbnb had
No, she said the name of the agency. It was like Airbond.
that
or
was who
some shit.
listed it on Airbnb.
Oh, really? So what the fuck she meant? Are you sure?
She made that video before they updated their policy.
Oh.
And something tells me she wasn't the reason they updated the policy.
If that's
it was just
true,
like shocking.
That is wild.
It took a couple
that
days.
she kept her fucking original. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, have patience, have compassion, understand that people are going through unimaginable hurdles right now to just stay alive and to provide for their family in these circumstances. Like, did she say my displaced family or like just displaced families in
family.
general? Oh, okay. I thought she meant like my family. I was like, girl, I would hope you would fucking let them stay in one of your Airbnbs, bitch. What the hell?
No, but also it's like, okay, well, of course you have to tell us that. Like to prove
Yeah, thank
that-
you. Yeah, so sweet. And again, they never told her, no, you're not getting a refund. Go on your trip
They said,
into
"Hold
the
tight."
fucking floodwaters. Like they said, let's wait till we hear from the owner. Let's wait for X, Y, and Z. And you ran to the internet, and everybody has a right to feel like that's super insensitive because it fucking is.
Literally, she's like, I know that there was devastation. And it's like, yeah, we saw it in your hashtags.
But before we continue, we really quickly want to thank today's second sponsor, and that's Lola V.
Lola V is an amazing hair care product line, and it was founded by none other than hair queen Jennifer Aniston.
You guys know we love Lola V's shampoo, conditioner. I love their leave-in treatment. But they recently just launched an exfoliate and detox scalp shampoo. Okay, so it combines the power of a scalp scrub and a clarifying shampoo, which to me seems pretty revolutionary.
And it features a blend of charcoal powder, bamboo extract, and gentle AHAs to get rid of all that gunk that, builds up in your hair over time.
You mean the 12 pounds of dry shampoo I put on before we film? Got it.
Literally, you have no idea. And for our listeners, for a limited time, you'll get an exclusive 15% off your entire order when you use the code DWKT at checkout.
That's 15% off your order at LOLAVIE.com with promo code DWKT. And please note that you can only use one promo code per order and discounts can't be combined.
And after you purchase, they're going to ask where you heard about them, and you're going to tell them the girlies sent you.
And thank you so much to Lola V for being an amazing sponsor of this podcast. Oh no, you want to see something really rich? She's been posting devastation with like music on it and being like, praying for y'all.
Well, that's because she got her money back, so now she's not concerned about her own issues. Oh, and now they're also taking a trip down to help.
No, stop it.
And they've donated their refund. Are you kidding?
Girl, prove it. I don't believe you.
Well, it's like, oh my God, like you were so worked up and you were not about to be like, oh, but I'm gonna give it all back.
Anyway, she's just the worst. And I guess now she donated her refund, so slay on, but show proof also because I have suspicions.
I feel like she's a Karen.
Oh, 100%.
It's because it's like, even with Michelle the bartender, even with the mom thing, it's like, I'm not on your side. Like, yeah, I do think you should get a refund, but why the fuck are
Right.
you doing this?
And I feel like also we just have that issue issue in general with so many topics where it's just like, just don't bring it to the internet. What are you doing? Like, this is so stupid because people are sharing devastation on the internet. People are using like the last cell service to be like, this is what's happening in Asheville. Like, what are you doing?
This wasn't
You're
just
taking
like
up the fucking FYP space.
And like, not to be like, I can do it and you can't. I'm like, when I freaked out about my Coachella one, that wasn't like because there was some like widespread problem going on. It was like they had a glitch in their computer system and it fucked me over.
Right. Yeah. No, there's different circumstances to bitch on the internet, and you bitched a little too close to the sun for my taste. Anyway, now our third and last topic, Sepia Divorce.
Sepia Bride,
Guys,
no longer.
Do you remember our Sepia Bride where we talked about how she was not happy with her photos and we hyper-analyzed them and came to the conclusions that the photos were kind of shitty?
Yeah. Not the photos themselves. Photos were sometimes not the best, but it was the editing on the photos.
Was bad.
It seemed like there had been a preset applied to all of them, and that's fine. But you have to adjust the preset. There's different lighting circumstances, there's different coloring, and it does seem like maybe also, though, because of the attitude of the bride and how she went about trying to remedy the situation, then the photographer just kind of got salty and was like, fuck you, I'm not going to give you what you want.
Mainly what the consensus was before we talked about it, and there was probably some people that thought the photos were shitty, but the majority of people were like, you're an idiot. Like, you knew what you were getting into when you hired this photographer and you should have just dealt with it, essentially. And our opinion was a little bit different than that. We were like, hey, some of these photos are a little bit shitty.
Well, it was
because some of them were edited a little bit
basing
poorly.
it off of the photographer's feed and being like, that's what you asked for. Yeah. And we went through the feed and we were like, that's not exactly, though, the most, like, they're not super consistent with what she showed. There's some shadowy issues and some lighting issues and some colors. So,
and I'm telling you, like, photographers rallied behind her. She went on a podcast. She talked to that guy who I think is also a photographer. And basically everyone was on her side and was like, you have your style. She hired you for her style. And like, she needs to suck it up, basically.
I feel like it's a lot of people projecting, thinking like they would be annoyed if people criticize their style, but it's like they're not criticizing her style. They're criticizing that she didn't really do all the work.
Yeah. And in general, I was kind of on both sides where I was just like, some of the photos, I think she's overreacting.
Yeah.
And then some of the photos, I absolutely see what she's talking about. And so that was how we ended our episode. Well, anyway, that was like a few months ago and she's divorced. Sepia Divorce, we're calling it. The photos were so bad, it ended everything. No, I'm just kidding.
I saw a comment that was like, not to be like Debbie Downer here, but I'm just gonna say, I did predict this. It was never the photos, it was the marriage.
I don't agree with that,
I don't either. Like, I think, no, I think she was just really mad at the photos, but
anyway, she announced it. Her name is Alexandra J. And she announced her divorce by coming on and basically doing a little dance on screen. And it says, when you're not sure how to use this app anymore after you went viral for your wedding photos, but now are going through a divorce. So she just does a little
I have to applaud the self-awareness.
Right? Yeah. And basically she does a Q&A on her divorce and what went wrong in her marriage. And I think that people are also basing this off of like, oh my God, like you were married for what, 3 months? But there's a few nuanced things here where like she got married before she got married. So like her and her husband got married like months before she even went and did the reception.
Another wedding for like family and
for
stuff.
like friends and family. Yeah. But also they had been together for 6 years. And honestly, I see this a lot more often than you would think, where it's like couples who have been together for 10 plus years or something like that. And then they get divorced like after a few months.
I have to imagine
there's like a phenomenon
it's something
there.
like they maybe recognize that they do have some problems and they think that marriage is somehow going to fix it.
Yeah, I definitely think that that's part of it. And also people look at marriage as like the natural next step.
Yeah.
Like we've been together for this long. This is what we do now.
Well, and then it's that realization, I think, once they get married that like, oh, nothing changed. Like it's the same.
Right. It hits a little bit harder. Yeah. So she does reply to a few people and I want to play those because they're interesting. This one is a comment that says, I'm not trying to be mean, but please go to therapy to self-reflect. A marriage lasting for only a few months isn't good. Wow, you're a genius. Like, I feel like that's such a stupid.
Well, also,
really?
it's like, you don't,
I thought
like,
it was good.
That's rude.
Super rude. Well, the thing is, people are being fucking horrible to her. And I can't really understand why. It's kind of like when everything happened.
Because they're mad because she was pissed about pictures?
Literally, yes.
And she, I guess, must have explained at some point, I guess, why they got married or why they got divorced.
Oh, yeah, she explains it, yeah.
But, like, are a lot of these coming before they probably even watch that? So they just don't even know any context and they're just like, fuck you.
No, I don't think they care. And I think that now they're tying it in with, like, oh, you were just unhappy. That's why you brought up all that shit and, like, pinned it on the photographer and it was, like, all your fault. So I think people are just doing the most. And it's so unnecessary in this situation because it's like, some of the photos were trash and get over it. Like, it's not the end of the world that some photographers take some shitty photos sometimes. It's okay. Like, what the fuck?
If you're defending that the photographer's style was like shadows all over the face, then like that's kind of an insult to the photographer, honestly.
Look, I share my life on the internet, and I know comments are gonna come like this one, but I'm answering this one for anyone who has been in the same position as I am right now in my life. I was in an almost 6-year relationship. Whether or not my marriage was short or not to you, to me, I didn't want to be in something that wasn't serving me or him anymore, to be honest with you. And I'm going to speak for myself on this one. But if someone is not happy and things get piled on the relationship, you know, throughout 6 years, let's just say, things are trickling in. Sometimes you have a water jug, okay? One more drop and you're ready to explode.
Me when I mispronounce
and
everything.
Throughout that water jug getting really full, we were trying to work on so many things. We chose each other. We were trying to work it out. We had a business together. We had a life that was completely intertwined. We thought each other was going to be our person. But sometimes you then realize that this isn't serving you any longer. And that's okay. It's okay to make the wrong choice. It's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to change your mind. Because at the end of the day, you are in charge of your own happiness. And you need to look at your life and say, did I try and do everything that I possibly could to make this work? Yes. Am I happy anymore? No. And thank God we didn't have kids. And we both keep saying that. Imagine if kids were in the mix. Thank God we did
also,
this
like,
now.
is there like a villain in this story? Like, why are people so mad that they got divorced?
Well, again, they're just tying it back to the photos. Like, that's literally it. They're just being like, oh, really?
It's super
Sepia
weird
bride?
and unnecessary.
Like,
Like, waste your energy on something else.
this is her responding to a stitch from someone that says, at the risk of sounding insensitive, Sepia bride getting a divorce after only a few months of being married was, in fact, on my 2024 bingo card. The pictures were never the problem. It was always the marriage. That was
the one I saw that I was referencing earlier.
I feel like that's dumb.
You don't know them.
Yeah, you don't. Some of the pictures were the problem. The shadow was severe.
Also,
like,
the
stop
pictures
it.
could have been the problem
They
too.
were taking
There's
enough
enough
energy
energy
for
for
like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
I'm so confused.
One, for the people that are capitalizing off this for views, like, what the fuck are you doing? Two, let me be real frank with everyone. Sepia bride and that whole situation had everything to do with how horrible her editing was and her customer experience. When I came onto TikTok to share those stories, that was because I was angry with all of the photos and how she still didn't rectify any of the situation. Now, where I'll admit is, did I continue posting videos on the internet about that situation because I was unhappy at home? Very well possible.
Nice distraction.
But you can't say that I was unhappy with the photos because of the reflection of my marriage, because my hair was red, my teeth were yellow, and the dress was literally yellow. Even the bushes looked like brown.
Let's just focus on the sky, maybe.
But the edits were shit.
Oh my God, the ocean. Yeah, their first kiss.
Yeah,
that was
the
just like
sky and the
pure
ocean
white.
that were like white and totally blown out. Her whole like thing with the makeup, that I did never really understand.
Yeah, same. She was just like, my bronzer, like, maybe it looked weird in person, girl. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, okay, some of the pictures we can agree.
Going with it on the internet because I was getting more attention here than I was getting at home. But for all of you guys that are trying to make videos about me, making fun of my divorce, making fun of the entire situation, like, really, go focus on your own life and your own businesses, because at the end of the day, I'm on this healing journey and this is the last time that I'm talking about.
Someone said, didn't you capitalize on Sepia bride though? And she said, talking about she said, talking about my own experience, I donated the money from videos to charity. You must have missed that part.
Oh.
Someone said, gets divorced so she can redo her wedding photos. Honestly, period though. I love that for her.
That's funny. I'm sure she likes the ones that are like that are funny. It would just be annoying to have people coming for you and being like, oh, you just took out your marriage issues on this photographer. It's like, no, two things can be true.
Yeah. This is where I'll leave you guys, where it's photographers making fun of her. So she basically posts a collage, or what's it called in video form?
Compilation,
period, of like making fun of her divorce and saying, Sepia bride is now getting a divorce. Are we really surprised? I just always wonder, if you share yourself on social media in a negative way, well, how are you in real life? It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
What?
So she'll show like the comments that they left and then their photography pages. And on screen it says, people in the wedding industry laughing about someone's divorce. And this is verified, but I guess on Twitter, so it doesn't count. But this one says, girly projected her relationship problems onto a small business who did nothing wrong and tried to destroy her business with her multiple part rampage. I don't think she deserves pain or to get a divorce, but you know, karma's a thing. Sounds like you do think
Doesn't
that
really
that's what
feel
she
like
deserves.
Equivalent
What the
karma.
fuck is wrong with you people?
Do I think she went a bit overboard? Yes. I thought that during the original video too. But do I think the photographer could have done a much better job? Also, yes.
Look at this. This is some photographer that says, coming out of summer hibernation to give Sepia bride her well-deserved Haha. What the fuck?
Okay, no, yeah, again, this is a bunch of photographers that like are projecting their own like, oh, like if someone said that to me, even though, well, did you screw up their pictures? Because like different scenario.
It's so weird because the whole community vibe that I'm getting is like, shut the fuck up. And like, if you hired me, let me do my thing, bitch.
Like, I get that artists have styles and there's things that like they have artistic integrity, but also, again, I think I said this in our original episode about it. If you're gonna be someone that is so like, this is your art, wedding photography feels like not the job for you. Like, go be a photographer for like editorial stuff where you're like actually supposed to be adding, like, people don't necessarily want your artistic input. They just want what they think is going to look good.
And you could have your art, but when it's something like bridal, whether it's makeup art or you're a photographer, it has to be consistent. Like,
and it has to cater to the person who's hiring you. Otherwise, you're not bringing the value.
And it doesn't have to be like totally different. So if she had said like, I don't want anything like you normally do, like make it completely different, then that would have been unreasonable. What she said. And also, she just wasn't consistent. I'm sorry, but her photos that date, like, did she deliver 10 out of 10 photos? No, she didn't. The first kiss was a disaster. The back was washed out. The fucking pictures in the parking lot. I mean, there were so many things that she did that weren't good, and just accept it and move on.
Right? And like, I, for example, love photography. I post a lot on, not really on my Instagram that much, but on my Twitter. I'm going to start posting a lot of them on the Patreon though. So sign up.
Oh yeah. Still not out when we post this.
Well, you know, we're building the hype. But what I was gonna say is that one thing that I feel like I do struggle with, and I like couldn't be a photographer for like events or something, in the sense that I don't have a super consistent style, because I feel like my ADHD, I go a little all over the place, that sometimes I get an idea and I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna make them look like this. So I could have like one set of photos that's like super like muted colors and kind of like grainy and looks more like vintagey. And then I have one where it's like super bright, vibrant colors that are really crisp. And it's like, I totally am all over the place. I wouldn't be able to be booked and have someone go like, I know exactly what I'm going to get, because you know what? I figure it out as I go. But I'm not a professional photographer.
Lily doesn't even know what she's going to get.
Right? I'm like, it's a journey. But I'm not a professional photographer, and I'm not promising things to people, much less on their wedding day, which again, I've said in the past, I would never want to be a wedding videographer because, oh my God, too much pressure. Like if you miss something or if you fuck something up, you can't go back. I feel like similar situation. Like the bride should be so certain that she's going to get something that she is happy with. And it wasn't the style that was the problem. It was the editing.
Right. Yeah. No, I just think all in all, why the fuck are people being so mean? I'm actually floored by it. Like, are you that invested? You really stand by every picture you saw? Stand by it in the front so I can see
they have
you.
made an illusion in their head of this is a whiny bitch that's complaining about pictures that are perfectly fine, even though like they're not objectively
they're
perfectly
treating
fine.
her like the hurricane lady. Like there's some people that come on the internet and complain unreasonably, and then there's this where it's like she wasn't happy.
She did
some of them a
complain
little
too
bit nitpicky. Sure, yeah, she complained a little bit too much. But at the same time, she wasn't baseless, and like she was emotional, and some of the pictures looked like shit. Okay, so call
this
it a
would be
day.
like, not this isn't the same, but I'm like, this would be like people laughing at the hurricane lady if a hurricane hit her house now.
Oh my, you know they would. You
and
know
it's
they
like
would.
maybe we can not be awful
Monsters. Yeah. Agreed.
It is October.
Anyway, as a real blessing from the universe, as I was waiting for Lily to film, a few things graced my For You page for We Love the Internet. So shall we?
Sure.
I'll just get one and then I'll hit you with the other one because I've learned to reserve them. I don't want to give you too much because then I don't see any for like 2 weeks.
Inventory.
I felt like this one we could relate to because we both have back issues. Yours are more severe than mine, of course. But I do also have a horrible back just because I sit like a shrimp.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everyone has back problems at this point.
And we're in our 30s. It's getting pretty bad.
Well, don't get me started on that because literally
really.
the last time I went to a doctor to try and figure out what was my issue, because a lot of people even in the comments are always like, well, what was your diagnosis? Honestly, I don't really have one because I would go to the doctor and be sobbing and they'd be like, well, you're getting older. And I'm like, I have a rib poking out right now. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, no, you have some interesting issues where like things get out of place and stuff.
I definitely have hypermobility. I don't think I have EDS to like, it's not to that extreme. And I think a lot of my hypermobility came from going to the chiropractor and getting things moved so much, which helped one problem, but then created more. Mine have improved over time, I think. But literally the person at the doctors I went to didn't even want to try and figure it out. They were just like, Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, no. For me, I've gone to a few chiropractors and stuff, and I get massages every so often, like twice a year. But my upper and like neck area is just always so stiff. And so we used to bond even before you started going through severe back pains. We used to just bond over having really bad backs because I've always had it.
Do you remember?
Oh no.
Do you remember? I vividly remember this because it was so funny. I think it was your brother must have walked in. It was at your like apartment in like downtown LA. It was like one of the first times.
What were we doing?
And you were like giving me a back massage, and your brother came in, and it was just like, oh,
It's not what it looks like.
we're
We
like,
just have bad backs.
well, I mean, I guess we are lovers, but you know.
Yeah, we have always bonded over that. I've always used your foam rollers, your hook. I still have your hook. I love it so much.
I gifted them to a few people because I was like,
It's my
that's
favorite.
the thing is, anytime I find something that helps, I'm like, everyone needs to know about this because I'm like, I understand how miserable it is to have things hurt.
I
But
mean,
I'm like,
Lily gave me a freaking Theragun for my birthday. It was just like 2 weeks late, but it was so amazing.
well, I sent you something else for your birthday. That was just like,
You did. No, you did. And honestly, I was just so amazed. Like, it showed up to my house. I'm like, no, she fucking didn't give me a Theragun. Are you joking? But it's much appreciated. I use it all the time.
well, and we need to talk about how you use it because I have suggestions that aren't just like massaging your shoulders.
I use it on my shoulders, and I use it a lot around my shoulder blades because that's where I get so much
telling
tension
you-
and pain.
It's all legs, your butt, your hips and stuff.
I tried it on my sciatic nerve, and I almost threw up.
Well, I mean,
so
well, be
painful.
careful. But like literally doing your lower body, it makes such a difference because things tighten up and then it's that your muscles are like not being utilized properly.
All not, yeah.
It's crazy.
for
But
sure.
one of the things that I will say, and I'm glad that I did the chiropractor journey that I went on because I mean, this is much preferred to what I was dealing with originally. And I was going to him like 3 times a week and he was doing like crazy adjustments that he didn't even touch my neck even for months, I felt like. And that was the part that I was having the most pain. And that was what like opened my eyes to like, oh my God, it's not just a neck problem. It's like a tailbone problem and a pelvis problem and a tilt issue. And anyway, before all of that, I had nerve pain and that's when it got like really bad. It was like burning and it was just like all uncomfortable. But before that, for years, it was so much just like tight muscles and like my back just felt like a fucking like wall. It was just like,
That's how I feel. Yeah.
I have not
Wall.
had muscle pain in years.
Oh my gosh.
Like getting a massage doesn't even sound appealing because my shoulders and stuff, like they're never sore anymore. They
Oh
hurt
my God. I just
for certain
always
reasons,
want someone
but-
to fuck up my back severely. Like, just get your elbow in there and just
yeah, no,
like.
that is like doesn't
go to
even sound
town.
like now that sounds like, oh no, don't do that. Like that's too harsh.
Oh, I need
like,
to get
before
there.
it was like press as hard as you physically can.
Yeah, same. That's me right now.
Yeah, now that's totally like everything's much more like loose and tender.
Well, that was one of our classic We Love the Internet rants. Sorry, guys. But this is about a bad back. I swear it's relevant. It says, enjoy my husband throwing his back out while saying hello to our cat in the window.
Oh my God, me.
The movement he does is so minor. And the fact that he throws out his back, I was like cackling.
There was a time I did it at work from hanging up a painting that was like on the beauty break set. So everything's lower. It's not like I was reaching up high. I'm telling you, I went, I barely moved and I was out of commission for 5 days.
Oh my God.
Good girl.
I literally though, I get it.
Ow.
The fucking movement in the beginning. It was so minor. Like,
Oh my God, though. I
Girl.
feel so bad for him because I get it. And it's like something just shifts and it's like, fuck, what am I going to do? Oh my God. I feel bad for him.
Look at him. Look at him.
I think it's just giving me PTSD.
Oh my God.
Oh my
no,
God.
It's just so funny. Anyway, I thought that was hilarious because he literally did nothing. Just
But I can't tell you the amount of times that's happened to me. But specifically, I always remember was hanging this painting and I didn't even get to the wall. I just started to reach up and it was like, and then I had to go home and I was just like, I'd go to urgent care. They give me muscle relaxers and then I'd just like sleep for 5 days. And then it would eventually kind of like be sore and then I'd be fine. But like for 5 days, it would be like, I can't turn my neck.
Oh my God. That did make me laugh though, I have to admit.
Poor man. Do you want really, really, really fast one that's a dog or just a normal length one that's multiple dogs?
They're both dog options, just the length is the difference. Let's go quick one just because we went on for so long about our back issues.
Okay.
How about that?
I feel like you'll like it. I think I've showed one of this dog before.
Oh my God. You have, I want to say, not the scarf.
He just looks up. He's like, are we done? No.
The sunglasses. I
just love that he just stays there. He's just like, yeah, sure.
Wait, where do they get those sunglasses
I
from?
don't know,
I'm
but they're
curious.
so tiny. The little
They're
headscarf.
so tiny.
Little babushka.
Oh my god, he's so fabulous. I can't deal with it.
The little side eye he gives though before the sunglasses
Yeah,
go on
on
is
the
my
top
favorite.
where he's just like, period. Oh my god. I love that.
Anyway.
Well, that's all we've got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed. Are you excited for our next costume episode?
I still need to kind of figure out the logistics of mine.
Yeah, I'm actually scared for yours. I don't know how that's gonna be. It's gonna be a journey. Anyway, guys, if you made it to the end, we very much so appreciate you. And as always, we hope you have a wonderful week, and we will see you on Friday. Bye.
Cheers.